This is Theodor Herzl. 50 years ago, in 1897, Herzl foresaw a Jewish state in Palestine. He saw it not with these eyes, but with the brain behind the eyes. For to him and the men of time, the Holy Land was not a sight that projected an image of the future. Its sparse inhabitants clung to the past, a dim, distant past, that constantly overshadowed the ways in which they worked and lived. The land that had once been the highway of the civilized world had become a back road leading only to yesterday. A yesterday that was enshrined in the hearts of most men on earth, but still a yesterday. Even the Jews who lived in Palestine in 1897 were linked with the past. They spent their days rereading the story of former glories, applying the wisdom of yesterday to the problems of today. In these same sacred texts, Herzl saw a signpost to the future, to a tomorrow. He wrote in his diary the words of prophecy. In 50 years, everyone will be able to see a Jewish state in Palestine. But his contemporaries laughed at these pretentious words. After all, before their eyes were the realities of their time, the poor Jewish quarters of Jerusalem, the crumbling monuments of ancient Jewish glory. These wasted, shriveled lands could hardly support a modern nation. Herzl's dream, they said, was a desert mirage. But now the 50 years are over. Now a whole world is looking at the little country on the eastern edge of the Mediterranean. Let us look at it too. Let us look at it in terms of Herzl's dream. What can you see in 1947?
I see it from the deck of a battered ship. I'm Gershon Rabinowitz from Krakow in Poland. From where I stand, Palestine looks like paradise. It is the first clear light I have seen in all my 17 years. It is hard to say what we see as our ship touches the soil of the promised land, for our eyes are filled with tears of joy. Do you know what it is to be welcome after a lifetime of being hated and hunted from land to land? No, we really don't see clearly. It is more a matter of feeling. Feeling that at last we are among our own. To us, Palestine is a smile, a neighbor, a fellow Jew. It is shalom spoken over and over by smiling eyes. To us, Palestine is shelter. Not another hiding place, but a home with unlocked doors and open windows. There is a view this time, a vista of peace and security. To eyes that are used to strife and want, such sights are very beautiful. To us, Palestine is family. Family meals around a family table. Food that comes out of the earth around us, not stinted, not doled out morsel by morsel. To us, Palestine is a chance to work again. And as we build ourselves again. As we make or think or do, we find our old self-respect, our old reasons for living. To us, Palestine is a new world where there is hope of making a new life. Friends, sweethearts, wives, even the hope of children. There are schools where they will be welcome, not merely tolerated. Schools where their Jewish origin will not be a cause for shame. Yes, to us, Palestine is a future. We who have lived day and night without hope, we lift our eyes to the sheltered harbor and we see light.
I see Palestine too, but I see it from ashore. I see the ships come in, bringing people who need help and comfort. I'm Sarah Mendes. I was born here. I work in the offices of the Sochnut, the Jewish agency for Palestine. I've come to see Palestine in terms of numbers. One day I may total the number of immigrants, or the number of meals that must be ready for them, the number of soup dishes, or the number of trucks that must be ready to transport them, the number of hungry mouths, or the number of ailing bodies, the number of doctors who must be ready to care for them, or the number of beds that are available in rest homes and hospitals. Even the ages of the immigrants come into our calculations, for some have done their share of work and are now entitled to a life of care and comfort. My numbers stand for real people, of course, and there are many of them. Many fathers who are looking for their children. Many children who are looking for parents. The questions come from many countries. The answers, when they exist, must be dug out of many files. This clearance office for locating and bringing together scattered families is just one of the many divisions of the Jewish Agency. The agency headquarters are in Jerusalem, in the White House that serves as a capital for Jewish affairs in Palestine. This is the nerve center of modern-day Zionism, the heart of the Jewish nation that is in the making. This is where we add up the numbers that symbolize the day-by-day realization of Herzl's dream. The number of new buildings that have been added to an ancient city. The number of new streets and new neighborhoods. The number of public improvements needed for modern living. Our numbers also deal with the growth of Tel Aviv, the only all-Jewish city in the world. Population numbers, births and deaths, housing numbers, buildings and rooms. For this city we built ourselves. Just as we built many of our towns. On the shores of the sea, on the mountain slopes, and in the plains. Especially are we responsible for the new farming settlements. We built them with our own hands, and we're still building. Some of us are experts at this trade, but all of us are willing helpers. We've learned to get things done by planning and by acting together. And when a new cooperative is ready for occupancy, it is ours in every sense of the word, and we're all proud and happy. Those of us who will live in it, and those of us who simply count it among the things that we've made. But before the building came the farms themselves. We laid them out and fenced them in. We counted in duminums of land, and in the number of rocks that we cleared from the neglected soil. Large and heavy was our stony crop, but even the rocks were made to serve our cause. They were the building materials for our dams and waterways. Counting out the drops of our meager water supply was the most crucial of all our calculations. Until we came, some of the land was desert, and so we had to make our own rivers, and the lakes to feed them. We had to provide machinery to control and regulate the flow of water. The sand is still there, but our artificial brooks run over it and feed the crops that support us. Because we counted in miles of pipe and inches of water, in all the complicated figures of modern irrigation, this part of the desert has become a garden. Now it yields to our patient toil. Now it is worth enriching with chemicals. Now we have something to work on. And now we can count in bushels of wheat and pounds of tomatoes. We can add up the fruits of our harvest and see the land and know that it is good. But to make the land bloom, we needed more than the will to work. And so we set up laboratories where scientists could search out the real facts of our land. From their test tubes comes the practical information needed by our colonists and our farmers. They tell us what to plant and where to plant it. They study fertilizers, insecticides, and every other aspect of modern farming. They have increased our regular yields and have even developed new types of fruit. Today, much of our produce goes out to the world in exchange for many of the things that we need in Palestine. We're able to give a little in return for all we get. That means shipping and harbors and all the other installations needed by an exporting country. We needed breakwaters and piers, stevedores and truckers. Our numbers represented the lifting power of cranes and dredges, the tonnage of ships that could come and go into our coastal cities. Soon we established suitable centers for our commercial enterprises. We began to build the industrial machines that could turn our natural resources into useful commodities. Modern manufacturing plants in Palestine means telescoping 200 years into 20, for in the Near East machinery was unknown, mass production unheard of. Designs were handed down from generation to generation, and so were the ancient traditions of handicraft. Now the designs are used in modern ways. But only by making the things we needed and other people needed could we earn true security in the 20th century. Making and growing, buying and selling, our numbers began to deal with the economics of modern living. Production figures versus goods consumed, resources against human needs. What did we have to import? What could we make ourselves? The Jewish Agency acted as a planning board. We stimulated some industries, we actually financed others. Our endless figures made it possible to turn a land of shepherds into a modern country. Our planning and our people. For the people forged our numbers into reality. All the arts and skills of modern man were to be found in the people of the new Palestine. With their hands and their heads, they too were forging a new nation. We started vocational training for the younger men who had the ability but no experience. We found it paid to take an old hand out of the shops if his experience could be passed on to a new generation. The need for skilled workers is a never-ending need in a land that is in the making. Mostly we needed farmers. And so the sons of tailors and the sons of diamond cutters followed the proud road back to the soil. They learned to care for animals that some of them had never seen before. They learned to look at the countryside and see it in terms of work, food, and freedom. And after World War II, there was a new crop of students. In uniforms that bore the shield of David, they had pushed the Germans through the Italian hill country. Their record proves how well they had learned the lessons of war. But now they had to relearn the arts of peace. These heroes depended on the Jewish Agency to help them through the troubled period of readjustment. New lives and new places had to be made for them. The agency provided the tools. It rounded up surplus materials. It extended loans. The men themselves built the settlements where they now earn their livings, where they work with tractors that pull plows instead of artillery caissons, or where their daily catch is fish instead of magnetic mines. Many of the veterans had seen service in the Navy, where they came to like the sea. For them, fishing colonies were established along the coast. Some of the former sailors preferred the merchant navy, and the agency helped them by encouraging a school where they could develop the arts of seamanship. From these eastern Mediterranean harbors, civilization was once carried to the four corners of the globe. Today, young Palestinians are preparing for the opposite role of bringing modern civilization back to their home ports, to the new Palestine where science and modern methods pervade every aspect of life. In the nurses' school, of course, we take them for granted. But they're also found in the agency's school for training diplomats. As the national home grows towards nationhood, more and more there is need for the qualified leader who is at home in the intricate fields of political science, economics, government, and international law. The Jewish community has indeed been fortunate in the men who have arisen to guide it through the critical days of re-establishing the homeland. But as the problems of statecraft become more and more fateful, these men need assistants and successors to serve the young nation in the administration of its government. The man in the audience today must take his place behind a desk tomorrow and be fitted to carry on the responsibilities of active leadership. Today, the political department of the Jewish Agency is only a semi-official government. But tomorrow, the policies determined in these offices will be respected as the expression of a sovereign people. Already, agency officers speak before the councils of the United Nations in the name of Jewish Palestine, in the name of a state that 50 years ago was but a dream.
No longer a dream. The blue and white flag is a symbol of something very real. To several generations of young Palestinian Jews, it stands for homeland and security. It is their flag. Just as the customs and traditions of ancient Jewry forms the basis of their culture. The stories they hear are Jewish stories. The Purim play is not a strange entertainment in the streets of Jerusalem. Mordecai and Esther are not fantastic characters to these children of Israel. Their culture flows from many springs. For modern Palestine inherits the riches of every land to which the Jews have wandered and from whence they have now returned. The music of Europe, today it may accompany a children's dance in Palestine. That's what I see in Palestine. I, David Golding. I see a land of children, a land of the future. I'm not in these pictures. I'm 5,000 miles away in Cleveland, Ohio. But I too can see Herzl's dream coming true, and these children will keep it true. They are the guarantee that the money I send to Palestine is a sound investment in tomorrow. It is for them that we plan cities and lay out farming settlements. These children are being brought up with the help of the Jewish Agency so that tomorrow they can inherit all of Palestine. This generation of Jewish children is growing up strong, healthy, resourceful, and happy, proud of their health and strength, proud that they can hold their heads high in competition with anyone. Proud of a sense of belonging, of living with their own people, in their own home. Proud because they are free. Planting, cultivating, reaping, it's a pattern that pervades the new Palestine. The festivals celebrate it. Everyone takes part in it. Today we turn the soil and plant the seedling, so that tomorrow, for our children and our children's children, there will be trees and the fruits of trees. Planting goes on everywhere. It is the way of life here. Sometimes the seed is knowledge, and the soil, the fertile minds of the children. The harvest in these fields will be rich indeed. I see in Palestine a land where everything is growing.
And such are the sights that Herzl would see if he were alive today. Not fantasies, but facts. Not frustration, but a forward march over obstacles. Yesterday it was the barrier set up at the threshold of the homeland. Sick and suffering, thousands of Jews crossed the world, only to find their vessels of freedom turned into prisons. But now, through the Assembly of the United Nations, the whole world has approved the Jewish national right to Palestine. Now the gates are opening. Now the welcome can be extended to the thousands who still need the shelter of Palestine. Many details of Herzl's dream have yet to be realized. But every day we find more evidence that the Jewish state is becoming a reality. The mirage becomes tangible as the desert disappears. The United Nations decision, has turned Herzl's vision into a remarkable prophecy. But the decision is also a challenge to the Jews of the world. In the next few months, the seedling must take root. Gershom, Sarah, David, and the millions of others who work with the Jewish Agency are doing their share in this fateful period. But how about you? Are you helping?